I think as well, people, like children, especially when they're growing up, it's good to have a bit of variety. You know, like they're having that opportunity to do something else as well. A lot of people get sick, like especially if it's not something that you're necessarily that passionate about when you're younger. I mean, you might be really passionate about it, but anything can become a job quite quickly. Do you know what I mean? Like people will talk about, you know, you hear stories about professional footballers getting a yellow card in the run up to Christmas because they know that if they get another yellow, they miss a game. Like, do you know what I mean? And it's because it's a job.
Yeah.
Like they might want to be at home with their families, maybe. So it's like everything becomes a job at one point. So probably you having that dual focus when you were younger, you didn't get sick of it. You didn't get sick of football. And I think being younger and just having a good athletic base and just trying a few different things, you know, there might be things from those lateral drills that you did when you were doing tennis, which would be more the focus, which helped you when you started taking football more seriously.
Yeah.
So
no, I definitely agree with that. I think there's definitely an element of like, obviously football's, you know, the schedule is from August till April, May. So you don't get that Christmas period off. I think my first Christmas off in 10 years was last year. And that was when obviously I was injured at Shields. So like, yeah, you don't, I don't know, you sort of lose that human side of things, you know, like everyone's enjoying Christmas, having a drink, having some chocolate, having some rubbish, you know what I mean? And you've got to be like, you've got to be committed and dedicated to, right, I've got a game on the 26th, I can't do that, I can't do this. Obviously, you have to accept it, but, you know, sometimes it's nice to be a human, as they say, do you know what I mean?
And do you give that, so obviously when you're coaching, like the next generation coming through, like, do you give them that bit of balance, or are you pretty strict with them?
No, I'm balanced, man, because like you said earlier, it becomes a job at some point.
you can sicken yourself with anything.
You
like
can.
Too much of a good thing.
Like a lot of footballers will retire early, or they'll fall out of love with the game, and it will be just based off making a wage. They'll play the game, but they won't really enjoy it. So I think like balance is key. Balance is key for anything in life, but especially a sport like that where it's so demanding every single day. Like day in, day out, you have to be 100%. You can't take your foot off the gas. So like for me, like the boys that I coach and that, I was like, you know, have some chocolate, enjoy your Christmas. You have to, because you can't get that back. You can't get it back.
So obviously you've you know, you're doing the S&C training, you've started doing your personal training. Do you feel like you've got one eye on what's next? Because obviously, you know, you're not going to be able to play football forever. So do you feel like you've got one eye on, you know, setting something up now, so you're putting the foundations in place so that when the time does come when you're ready to step away from the game, there's not that lull, you've already got something to step straight into?
Yeah, that's exactly why I did it. Obviously, I think the reason was I was getting a lot of injuries the last like maybe year and a half. Obviously, I don't want to retire anytime soon, but I'd rather be prepared for when it is my time to retire. Because there's a lot of boys, I know a lot of boys myself personally, that they'll retire but not have a clue what they want to do.
Yeah.
And you can't really be in that position. Obviously, I've got a daughter, I've got someone who depends on me in it, so I need to be in a position where when it's time to hang up the boots, I have something sustainable and I'm ready to like give that 100%.
Yeah, well, you're building it up, aren't you? So that it's just a quick transition. I mean, we just had a chat before about having a full-time job whilst you're getting into the fitness industry and building something up whilst you're doing it, so that, you know, there's never a time that you're kind of without. And I feel that's something a lot of athletes don't do, like you said there. But really, this is probably the best time to do it, because, you know, you might have more time on your hands than if you had to go and get a full-time job 9 to 5. Trying to do something at that point probably be too late.
I think obviously a lot of the boys that I've seen experiences from are full-time. So obviously it's a lot more demanding. I think because this is my first year part-time, I'm able to have that spare time to do the personal training, to do the coaching, etc. But a lot of the boys will be full-time, and it's difficult because the schedule is completely different. So you have like maybe a Tuesday, you'll be in at 9, train at 10:30, finish at 12:30, then you have a gym session, etc. And it's obviously a lot more draining than being part-time. Like I train at night now, so I have a lot more time on my hands to be able to to put my effort into the personal training.
Yeah.
And do you think it would be quite a natural progression for footballers to go into personal training?
Most definitely. I think obviously every footballer is obviously an athlete. So I think they all look after the body. They all like, where you depend on your body to be able to do well. So I think like if there was something in academies or something like that where it was a personal training course, I think that'd be perfect.
Yeah, because the scholarships in the academies, like, I don't know what the stats are, but like there's a low percentage that actually go through like in having a career like what you have, or like even just like staying in football. There's actually even though they've got through that stage to get into a scholarship or get into a club, until they've signed that pro, like there's a lot of there's more dropouts and there's more failures than there is successes.
Yeah, I think off the top of my head, obviously I had my year at Newcastle, obviously you have 2 years, like I was a second year scholar and a first year scholar. Out of them 2 years, I think me and one of my friends called Marcus Madison were the most successful, and obviously we played League One, or I played League One, he played Championship for like half a year. So a lot of the other boys, like there's some talented boys, like unbelievably talented boys, play in Northern Prem. Like that's the highest they played in it. So like,
I mean, there's probably some who don't even play.
Yeah, so you need to be prepared for what ifs. And I think if there was a personal training course available to players after or during their scholarship, I think that benefit a lot of people, a lot of boys.
Yeah. Do you think that should be up to the players of the club to sort of like look for natural progression? I mean, there's a lad that trains at the gym, and he's been signed as a scholar, and he was saying that, like, you know, they've got to do a trade, which, like, for me, it's like a footballer, someone that's striving towards any professional sport, really, doesn't want to go and be an electrician, doesn't want to lay bricks, you know, like, doesn't want to be a plasterer. Like, I feel like, me personally, I feel like the club should get more involved with that rather than it being on the player.
Well, it would also benefit their actual experience as a player, because they'd be learning more about their own body, they'd be learning more about their own training. Like, obviously, being an electrician could be a good trade to have, but it's not going to impact your football at all.
No, it's not. Yeah, you're right. I think, obviously, when I was a scholar, I think we did sports science or something like that. I can't remember what the course was. I've never used it. If there was a personal training course, potentially I might not have had as many injuries. Do you know what I mean? Like, I might have been at a different place in my career right now. So I definitely think it'd be good to have conversations with clubs, just to see where they're at, really, because like it would benefit. Obviously, not all the scholars would use it, but I think the majority of them would like to use it.
I think that's a big shout about it actually affecting not just like their career if they didn't make it in football, but actually the here and now, and like their performance, their longevity in the sport.
Well, yeah, that's what they want to think about as well. Like, you don't want to be with, you know, we know the statistics, whatever. You're sat down with a group of scholars. You don't want to be, none in their head, every single one of them is being a pro. Do you know what I mean? There's none of them there thinking, you know, I'll probably fucking hurt my knee and I'll end up in Northern League. Like, every single one of them is thinking, maybe other people, but that's not going to happen to me.
Yeah,
Do you know what I mean? None of them, you don't think that. Do you know what I mean? You don't think, oh yeah, there's a chance I might not make it. You think, yeah, these guys might not, but that statistic doesn't apply to me. So if you're giving them something, if you're giving them like a plan B, they're not interested, because realistically, if you want to succeed in a sport, the chances are so slim anyway that you can't really afford to have a plan B. You have to be plan A, plan A, plan A, plan A, because as soon as that doubt creeps in, then, you know, and if you've given them something, no, this can help your football, you're going to make it, this can help it. And then the worst case scenario is it doesn't, but they've got something backed up, and they've got a trade now that they can jump straight into, something that they enjoy, and they're not a million miles away. You know, they might go and work part-time, because probably one of the things that's stopping people becoming a semi-professional footballer is they probably don't get enough money to live. And the timings, like you said, it might be training in the morning, training at night. They don't get enough money to live, but they don't get enough time to work. So they have to drop out. Whereas if you gave them a skill that they could make money online, like personal training, they could make money during the day, like personal training, they could set their own schedule. So they might train 9 till 11 with the club. They might go to the gym 12 till 4, do some of their own training, train 4 clients, make 100 quid. Then they might go back to the training on a night time, and now they've built themselves something. They might do some online plans for people, so now they've got something that can actually, because some people are late bloomers, you know, they might They might get dropped in the academy. They might do that for 2 or 3 years, keep playing at a high level, and then work their way back up. I mean, you hear loads of stories about people going from. I mean, we got like I think Nick Pope was playing the equivalent of Northern League.
Chris Smalling as well, like
I think has Jamie Vardy not played at every single level? He was playing for the Black Bull at one point. He's worked his way up, playing Sunday League, played on Saturday.
He was up top for the Black God.
Yeah, he was. Yeah, I remember him.
The Beehive first team.
Yeah, pint at half time.